Good morning on what is a bright, warm and sunny day. It is Saturday the 22nd of June and I'm in the reading Nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And a box to continue unboxing. What I'm going to pull... Oh, I'm going to try to get hold of this. Is this, which is the Bestiary for the Strange, published by Monte Games. So, The Strange Bestiary. The Strange Bestiary is a lavishly and wildly imaginative collection of 140 creatures and characters. Inside you'll find creatures encountered on Earth, along with those native to the recursions of Arden, Rook, Crow Hollow, Atom Nocturne and more. The Bestiary also facilitates creating your own worlds by providing scores of creatures that will work in any recursion you can dream up, including those created by fictional leakage and operating under the laws of magic, mad science and psionics. Monument spiders, data sentinels, octopus sapiens, extrians, blobs, kaiju and killer robots are just the beginning for the diverse and incredibly creative settings of the strange. What's more, since the creatures of the strange bestiary are compatible with Numenera, and most are suitably weird, Game Masters could only use this book to populate the ninth world. This is one of the books I picked up in the Bring and Buy, in fact, at UK Games Expo, to review, because I haven't given, I mean, I've looked at the Strange core rulebook, but I've never looked at any of the supplements, and I keep meaning to, and time has definitely got away from me because, you know, the Strange came out, what, 2014, 2015, something like that. So, let's have a look at it properly. And we open up and we've got essentially a size comparison chart, which is very reminiscent of the size comparison chart you used to get in the Call of Cthulhu books. There's nothing on the inside, but the inside back cover. That's a bit of a pity. And in fact, you've got something that is very Lovecraftian in there. And then we get on to credits page and the contents page. Now, so basically introduction, designing character, creatures, ecology of the shoals of Earth, and so on. And then strange beings, that's the introduction, and we get on to how to design the creatures for it. And throughout, you've got plenty of notes down the side, further page references. There is quite a nice degree of annotation in these books. So, you know, this is going through the different stats and how to apply them, and giving you a list there of all the other considerations you might want to take into account when creating creatures of your own. So that's quite comprehensive. Before we move on to the ecologies of the shoals of Earth. And essentially what you've got in Strange is basically these recursions, which are sort of reflections of Earth and our imagination and so on, even with fictional leakage into those worlds. So this covers things like, let me just find it, in opposite ecologies, humanoids, and so on, creatures in a group, and then that's all done. Really doesn't waste a lot of time before we get on to creatures of the strange. A full listing there, page references for you to start, an explanation of what the listings are, random encounter tables. And that's it. There really isn't much in the way of basically supporting content. You know, it doesn't really waste a lot of time before we get into the monsters. So I'm just going to leaf through those. You know, you've got an all-seeing eye. That's definitely not a beholder, but it's there if you want to have a beholder type creature. We've got a barrage crusader. Looks quite evil. Battle chrysalids. Blobs, bogeymen. You know, so you can blobs. You can run. You know, you want to do that, that's essentially that's either your Giant's Cube or your science fiction blob or something like that. Fortunately, there you've kind of got a giant or ogre figure. Capricious caterpillar, basically perfect for your weird encounters a la Alice in Wonderland. Chaos Templar with weird technology there. And classic monsters like the Chimera. And each case, you see just at the top there, you've got this size comparison. You know, and there's sort of like anything there for sort of like kind of your techno fantasy world. Cyber sorcerer. So you can take a lot of these and sort of like drop them down into a recursion of your choice. You know, basically putting them all together to create a kind of an ecology, if you will, according to the genre of your recursion. You know, if you want to do Lovecraftian, you've got Deep One there. You know, dinosaurs, you've got Deinonychus. What a Story with Wishes, you've got a Djinn. You know, also again, Elder Thing, suitable for your Lovecraftian horror. Here are your elementals. You've got some treatment of the fairy. I mean, that can be vastly expanded because, you know, the fairy is just utterly, you know, there's lots and lots of them. Fractal worm for a weird cyber world. Flathead for your brain carrying character. And a lot of these creatures, you know, some are familiar, some aren't. You know, Ghost is, of course, Glitch isn't. That's something different. For your fantasy, classic fantasy world, Gorgon, or you know, if you're doing something like your X-Files, you've got the Grey there. And more horror there with the Grim Tailor. So you're covering a lot of genres and settings. And there's the kaiju. You can see just how big they're. That's the tip. That's the tip of essentially of one of those claws, and there's a human figure in comparison. You know, nicely done, even just with sort of just a silhouette. Killing white light. Just stranger. You know, killer robot. Suitable for, you know, a lot of settings. I'm just going to flip a bit further forward, just go through. So essentially, you've got the reprint of that size chart comparison in the middle there that was in the inside front cover. And you've got a mecha drone and a mechanancer for your world with mechanized devices in it. I'll just flip further forward again. So lots and lots of really interesting and decent characters and NPCs and monsters to throw at you, at your players, and build stories around. And as I say, much that is familiar, much that is not, and that's a good mix. You know, they could have done a whole section just of Lovecraftian creatures or fantasy creatures, but there's much more in here than that. And there's a full, basically, octopus sapien. On your fantasy settings, you actually got actual ogres and orcs. And I think the other thing about this book is that if you've got it on hand, you know, there's creatures in here which you could easily adapt to the other genre of your choice. You know, you take the orc and the ogre there, or the blob earlier, easily drop that into the godforsaken fantasy setting, or the fantasy setting you create using of your own, creating the, you know, the cipher rules. It really very much depends upon the setting and whether or not you think the monster fits your setting, or can be adapted to fit your setting, because it doesn't have to fit exactly. You know, you change the phrasing, you change the language, and it might just work. So yeah, this is not just a monster book for the strange. It's as it's suggested. You know, you can use this with Numenera and the ninth world of that setting, but basically that setting, which is the ninth world. You can also use it with the subsequent cipher system settings which have come out since. You know, it's very easy to add a serpent person in, you know, because it's been done in Call of Cthulhu lots and lots of times, and you can do that in a lot of kind of settings. And then say, you know, you've got a skeleton, but you see the skeleton has armed with a gun. That makes for a very different kind of encounter, rather than that kind of traditional swords and sorcery, Jason and the Argonauts kind of scene. Which is a great scene, by the way, but you know, you know exactly what I mean. They can be tailored to fit the genre a whole lot more than you think. So yeah, I am thoroughly impressed by this book. It's got a really good mix of classic and non-classic creatures. Good write-ups, background details, clear explanations of the abilities, you know, extra detail down the side if needed. So and then we come down to basically the last bit, the zombie. And then we've got some characters thrown in as well. So you've got an elite operative, an elite soldier, necromancer, neon roller. You can see, obviously, suggestion what genres that these might be found in. Noble knight. And then we've got people of renown, such as the Archcoda, Colin Stokes, Warrior Mage, Dr. Ceratops. These are a lot of fun, Dr. Ceratops. Yeah, Dr. Ceratops, I bet that's going to be Dinosaur Detective. Merlin, Nimrod the Hunter. So the classic figures out of myth and legend, as much as out of, you know, the author's own imagination. So yeah, I think that's a really good collection. If only ultimately for Dr. Ceratops. I really like that. Anyway, that's The Strange Bestiary, published by Monte Cook Games for the role-playing game The Strange, which I think is worth tracking down, perhaps adapting using the more recent edition of Cipher Rules, but the setting remains the same, and you can use the Bestiary and the scenario booklet and the recursions booklet to get all together to have a fantastic sort of like genre world hopping setting campaign. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you did, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings of the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game, or in this case a bestiary for the strange, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.